The Atlanta skyline shimmered under the early September sun, its glass towers reflecting ambition and struggle in equal measure.
At Carver High School, nestled in a neighborhood where corner stores and murals shared space with dreams and despair, Amara Ellison pulled her beat-up Toyota into the faculty lot at 6:15 a.m. Her thermos of jasmine tea steamed in her hand, and a canvas tote stuffed with syllabi and art supplies weighed down her shoulder. At 27, Amara was the new art teacher, her first full-time gig after years of subbing and freelancing as a muralist in Savannah. Her locks were swept into a high bun, her mustard yellow blazer a bold choice against her deep brown skin. She'd chosen it deliberately, color was her armor, her way of saying she belonged. Carver High was a concrete fortress, its walls tagged with faded graffiti and its halls buzzing with the energy of 1,200 students. Amara had grown up in a similar neighborhood in Savannah, where community was loud and love was fierce, but Atlanta felt different, faster, sharper, like it was waiting to test her. She stepped through the double doors, the scent of industrial cleaner and teenage ambition hitting her nose. The front office was a blur of ringing phones and tired smiles. A secretary glanced up, her eyes lingering on Amara's blazer before pointing her toward the staff lounge without a word. In the lounge, two teachers, a woman with a bob and a man in a polo, paused their conversation as Amara entered. "You the new art lady?" the woman asked, her tone more curious than welcoming.
Amara nodded, offering a warm good morning. "I'm Amara Ellison."
The man gave a half smile, muttered something about budget cuts, and they resumed talking as if she'd vanished. Amara poured lukewarm coffee into a paper cup and headed to her classroom, room 114, her sanctuary.
She'd spent the weekend transforming it.
Blank walls now held prints of Kihine Wiley and Jean-Michel Basquiat, a "Create Your Truth" banner above the whiteboard, and tables arranged in a U-shape for collaboration. Paint cans and sketchpads lined the shelves, and a small easel by her desk displayed her own work, a vibrant mural sketch of a phoenix rising from cracked pavement. She wanted her students to see art as power, not just decoration. At 7:45 a.m., her first class shuffled in, juniors, a mix of restless energy and guarded stares. Most slid into seats without looking at her, phones glowing under tables. Then came the trio who set the room's pulse racing. Jaden Carter, tall with a fade and a varsity jacket, exuding the confidence of someone who knew he was untouchable. Kayla Monroe, sharp-eyed with braids and a smirk that cut like glass. And Marcus Tate, quiet but watchful, his hoodie pulled low. They sauntered in last, Jaden tossing a basketball between his hands.
"This art or daycare?"
Jaden said, loud enough for snickers to ripple through the room. Kayla leaned back, whispering something to Marcus, who chuckled but kept his eyes on Amara.
She didn't flinch.
"Take a seat, everyone," she said, her voice steady as she pointed Jaden to a spot near her desk.
"Let's start with something simple.
Tell me your name and one thing you'd create if you had unlimited supplies."
The answers came slowly. A girl named Tiana said she'd paint a mural of her grandmother's garden. A boy named Devin mumbled about a sneaker design. Jaden leaned back, smirking.
"I'd make a statue of myself, so everybody knows who runs this school."
Laughter erupted. Amara nodded, unruffled.
"Bold choice.
What would it say about you?" Jaden's smirk faltered, and he shrugged.
Kayla jumped in, her voice dripping sarcasm. "I'd make a billboard that says, 'This class is a waste of time.'"
More laughs. Amara's eyes met hers. "Interesting. Sounds like you've got a vision. Let's see if you can back it up."
The period dragged, the air thick with resistance.
Jaden and Kayla whispered, their eyes daring her to call them out.
Marcus stayed silent, but his gaze followed her every move. When the bell rang, the room emptied fast, leaving behind crumpled paper and a faint echo of doubt.
Amara sat at her desk, staring at her phoenix sketch.
Her mother's words rang in her ears, "You don't need them to like you, Mara.
You need them to see you." She wasn't here to be loved.
She was here to teach them to create, to see themselves in the art they made. But as she watched Jaden's crew laughing in the hall, she knew this wasn't just about teaching, it was about surviving. The first week was a gauntlet. Jaden made a habit of accidentally knocking over paint cans.
Kayla's comments grew sharper, calling Amara's lessons extra or try hard.
Marcus never spoke, but his presence amplified the others, his silence a quiet endorsement.
Amara greeted every student by name, even when they ignored her. She assigned projects, self-portrait sketches, mood boards, hoping to spark something.
Most students half-tried, but Jaden's crew turned it into a game, scribbling caricatures of her on their papers, exaggerating her locks and blazer. She collected them without comment, her face a mask of calm.
Then came the email.
Late Tuesday, her inbox pinged with a message CC'd to the entire junior class parent list. Titled Concerns about Ms. Ellison, it was anonymous, claiming she was pushing agendas and favoring certain students. The language was vague but venomous, hinting at her unprofessional style and divisive lessons.
Amara's chest tightened.
She called her mother, Lena, a retired librarian in Savannah.
"They're scared of you," Lena said, her voice warm but firm. "You're not just teaching art. You're showing them what's possible. Keep going."
Amara hung up, staring at her classroom's empty walls. She wasn't sure if she was strong enough for this. Wednesday morning, the assistant principal, Mr. Hargrove, called her in. He was all business, his tie too tight and his smile too thin. "Parents are talking," he said, not meeting her eyes.
"Just tone down the intensity. Stick to the curriculum." Amara's jaw clenched. "I'm teaching art. It's supposed to be intense." He waved her off, already checking his phone. Back in class, the air felt heavier. Jaden's smirk was sharper, like he knew about the email. Kayla whispered loudly about people who don't belong.
Amara ignored them, but her hands shook as she passed out supplies. That afternoon, during lunch duty, Jaden tripped, spilling soda across her sketchpad.
"My bad," he said, his grin daring her to react. Kayla laughed, filming it on her phone. Amara knelt, wiping the pages with a napkin, her throat tight. She wouldn't break. Not here.
Back in her classroom, she locked the door and sat, staring at the Phoenix sketch, now smudged with cola.
"Grace is your canvas," her mother had said.
She picked up a marker and wrote on the board, "Art is resistance."
What will you resist? By the second week, Amara's classroom felt like a battlefield.
The hostility wasn't loud, it was calculated.
Jaden's crew led the charge, their whispers and smirks infecting the room. Other students, sensing the power dynamic, either joined in or stayed silent.
Tiana, the girl who'd mentioned her grandmother's garden, stopped raising her hand. Devon's sketches grew sloppier, like he was afraid to stand out. Amara kept her routine, early mornings, thoughtful lessons, and a smile that hid her exhaustion. But the weight was growing. On Monday, she arrived to find her classroom in chaos. Paint cans were overturned, brushes scattered, and her Phoenix sketch was gone. On the whiteboard, in jagged black marker, was scrawled, "Go back to Savannah."
The words hit like a punch.
Amara stood frozen, the smell of paint thinner stinging her nose.
This wasn't a prank, it was a violation. Someone had a key, the door had been locked.
She cleaned in silence, her hands steady but her heart racing.
By first period, the room looked normal, but the marker's ghost lingered on the board, faint but stubborn. She didn't report it.
She'd seen how concerns were handled, clipboards, vague emails, no accountability.
Instead, she taught. That day's lesson was about art as protest, Guerrilla Girls, Banksy, the AIDS memorial quilt. "Art doesn't just decorate," she said, pacing. "It demands. It fights. What's worth fighting for to you?" The room was quiet, but Jaden's scoff broke it. "This is art class, not a TED Talk," he said. Kayla snickered. Marcus stared at the floor. Amara didn't react.
"Then show me what you'd fight for," she said, handing out sketchpads.
"Draw it." Most students doodled half-heartedly. Jaden drew a cartoon of a fist smashing a canvas. Kayla sketched a $sign. Marcus left his page blank.
But Tiana, hesitantly, drew a flower pushing through concrete.
Amara caught her eye and nodded. After class, she found a note slipped under her door, "I'm sorry about the mess." No signature, but the handwriting was shaky, like it was written in a hurry. She tucked it into her bag, unsure who it was from but clinging to it like a lifeline. That night, she called her mother again.
They're trying to push me out, she admitted, her voice low.
Lena's response was steady. You're not just an artist, Mara. You're a builder. Build something they can't tear down. Amara didn't sleep.
She spent hours sketching, planning a project that could shift the tide, a community mural outside the school, something the students could own. If they wouldn't listen in class, maybe they'd hear her through paint. Tuesday, she pitched the mural to her classes. We're going to create something permanent, she said, projecting a mock-up of a vibrant wall filled with symbols of Atlantic peaches, skylines, hands clasped in unity. Each of you will contribute. It's not optional. Groans filled the room, but a few eyes lit up, Tiana's, Devin's, even Marcus's for a fleeting second.
Jaden rolled his eyes. What, we're painting rainbows now? Kayla muttered, this ain't gonna change nothing. Amara smiled. Then prove me wrong. The week dragged.
Jaden's crew kept up their antics, brushes went missing, paint was spilled, and whispers grew bolder.
But Amara noticed cracks in their armor.
Marcus started sketching in class, his lines sharp and deliberate.
Tiana stayed late one day, asking about mural techniques.
Even Devin turned in a sketch of a sneaker with wings, captioned Freedom. Amara graded them carefully, writing feedback that was honest but kind.
She wasn't winning them over, she was planting seeds. Then came Friday.
During lunch, she found her classroom door ajar. Inside, her desk was covered in paint bright red, smeared like blood.
Her Create Your Truth banner was torn, and a new message was scrawled on the board, You don't belong. Amara's knees buckled, but she didn't fall.
She cleaned, her hands shaking, and taught her afternoon classes with the board turned off. That evening, she sat in her car, staring at the school.
She could quit. No one would blame her.
But her mother's voice echoed, build something they can't tear down. She drove home, sketching late into the night, her mural plan growing bolder.
Monday morning, Amara walked into room 114 with a new fire.
The faint marker stains still haunted the board, but she ignored them.
She wrote in bold letters, Art is truth. What's yours?
The mural project was in full swing, with students assigned to research Atlanta's history for inspiration. She'd secured permission from the principal, though his approval was lukewarm, more about avoiding a PR issue than supporting her vision. The mural would go up on the school's east wall, visible to the neighborhood.
Jaden's crew resisted. This is busy work, Kayla snapped, tossing her pencil.
Jaden sketched a middle finger and slid it across his table. Marcus, though, was different. He'd started drawing a silhouette of a man playing a trumpet, inspired by a jazz club his dad used to visit.
Amara praised it quietly, not wanting to spook him. Tiana's design was a peach tree, its roots sprawling like veins. Devin's was a skyline with sneakers dangling from power lines.
The room was starting to hum with purpose.
Then came the assembly.
Wednesday, the school held a community event in the auditorium, showcasing student work. Amara had volunteered to display her class's mural sketches. As she sat up, Jaden and Kayla lingered nearby, whispering. Marcus stood apart, his hoodie up. The auditorium filled with parents, teachers, and students. Amara took the stage, her voice steady as she explained the mural's vision. This is about claiming space, telling our stories, building something together. Halfway through, a projector flickered on behind her. A video played, clips of Jaden spilling soda, Kayla mocking her lessons, the paint-smeared desk, the torn banner.
Gasps rippled through the crowd.
Amara froze, her heart pounding.
The video ended with a photo of the whiteboard, You don't belong. The room went silent. Jaden's face paled. Kayla stared at the floor.
Marcus's hands clenched.
Then Tiana stood, her voice shaking but clear. I recorded it, she said. I saw what they did. Miss Ellison didn't deserve that. She's been trying to teach us something real.
The auditorium buzzed.
Parents murmured. Teachers exchanged glances. Amara's throat tightened, but she didn't speak. Tiana sat down, tears in her eyes.
Jaden stood, his voice low.
I didn't mean for it to go that far.
Kayla's head snapped up, her eyes wet.
We thought it was just a joke.
Marcus stayed silent, but his shoulders slumped. The principal, flustered, ended the assembly early, promising discussions.
Amara walked back to her classroom, her legs unsteady. Tiana's courage had cracked the wall Jaden's crew had built. The bullies hadn't just been exposed, they'd been undone by their own actions, laid bare for all to see.
The next week, the classroom was different. Not perfect, teenagers don't transform overnight, but changed. Jaden stopped smirking, his sketches now showing effort, a basketball court with kids playing under a rising sun. Kayla turned in a design of braided hands, her usual sarcasm replaced with quiet focus. Marcus's trumpet player grew more detailed, a tribute to his father. Tiana became the unofficial leader, organizing mural teams and encouraging others.
Devon's winged sneakers joined the design, a symbol of ambition. Amara didn't gloat.
She taught, her lessons sharper, her presence undeniable.
The mural took shape over weeks, students painting after school under Atlanta's autumn sky. Neighbors stopped to watch, some bringing snacks, others offering stories for inspiration. The principal, now eager for good press, praised the project publicly. Amara let the students take the credit.
At the mural's unveiling, the east wall blazed with color, peach trees, jazz notes, sneakers, hands, and a phoenix rising from the center, Amara's signature touch. Jaden, Kayla, and Marcus stood at the back, their faces unreadable.
After the crowd dispersed, they approached her. Jaden spoke first, his voice rough. We were wrong. I'm sorry. Kayla nodded, tears falling. You didn't give up on us.
Marcus, quiet as ever, handed her a sketch, a portrait of her, standing tall, paintbrush in hand.
You're the real artist, he said.
Amara smiled, her heart full.
You're artists too. You just needed a canvas.
The mural stood as proof, not just of her resilience, but of their redemption. They'd tried to break her, but in seconds, their own truth had turned their hate into a lesson they'd never forget.